Let us take a look at the learning tools used in the process of teaching factors and multiples. We are already familiar with this tool. This is a number line and cloth clips. We have seen this in multiplication as well. Let us use it again here. We have square counters and yellow cubes. And let's use some of the yellow counters from the decimal set as well. Using all these, let us look at how to teach the lessons of factors. Let us take a number, say 6. We already know the fact that the product of multiplication will be a square or a rectangle, right? Now, we have a product, a number that is 6. What could be the possible ways to show it? It can be shown in a square or a rectangular form. Let us look at it. Now, I can arrange each of these square counters in this way and show 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you get it? It looks like this when arranged in one single line. Okay? Let us place the same 6 differently here. Let us see what happens when we arrange it in two lines. Does it become a square or a rectangle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This becomes a rectangle, right? Did you notice? Now, what happens if we place 3 in 3 rows? It is right here. However, I'll show it again. In 3 lines. 1, 2, 3. Look at this. We placed it in the first, second, and third line. Now, if I place the same counters in 4 lines, will we get a rectangle? What would you say? Let us see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Totally, we have 6, right? What happens now? It is not a rectangle here. To make a rectangle, we need 2 more square counters. Otherwise, it is not possible. Shall we see what happens if we place 6 counters in 6 lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What has this become now? This too has become a rectangle. We got a rectangle when we place them in one single line, 2 lines, 3 lines, but not with 4 lines, and got it in the vertical 6 line placing too. It is not possible when you place it in 5 lines. Got it? Now, let us see how we can explain it. This activity has to be done and shown on the board as well. When these square counters are dipped in water and stuck on the board, learning this will become a lot more easy for all the children. Now, let us observe this one. In one line, when I place 6 counters, we received a product, right? Meaning that 6 is the product. Okay? How can this 6 be represented or shown? I can place all the 6 in one single horizontal line, or I can arrange the 6 in two lines, placing 3 in each line. Every line has 3. This is exactly what we learned in multiplication, but we are looking at another form of the same and understanding it. Similarly, when 6 counters are placed in 3 lines, how many did we place in each line? We placed 2 counters in each line, right? Similarly, was it possible for us to place the 6 in 4 lines? When we placed it in 4 lines, did we get a rectangle shape as the product? We did not, right? Therefore, it is not possible. We could not place it. All these were possible, and only this was not possible. We could not get a rectangle when arranged in 4 lines. Was it possible with a 5-line arrangement? No, right? Make the children write this first. By doing so, they will get clarity of the concept. What did we get when we placed the 6 in a vertical line? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many square counters did we place in each row? We placed one single counter, right? Now, the same thing can be written in a different way. So, what are the factors of the number 6? Meaning, which are the ways or arrangements that give the product 6? They are called the factors of 6. Here we have 6, and the factors of 6 are 1 and 6. I will write 1 here and write 6 over here. I will tell the reason later. When we multiplied 2 and 3, we got one rectangle. We got a product. Therefore, 2 and 3 are also the factors of 6. 3 and 2 are also factors of 6, and we have already written that. Does 4 hold good? No. Is 5 possible? No. Right? So the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. All these are the factors of 6. Now, try giving another problem to the children. Maybe you could give 12. 3, 6, 8, 10, 12. So, how can we calculate the factors of 12? Shall we try? Here is 12. Can we place the 12 in one single row? Do we get the complete product? Yes. Shall we see if it is possible when placed in 2 lines? You can give the square counters to the children and ask them to do it. Similarly, in the kit, these are 100 in number. The yellow counters of the decimal set are 100 in number. Therefore, while teaching in a classroom, you can hand over a bunch of these to groups of children and ask them to do the activity. Now, shall we look at what happens when we arrange in 2 lines? Whatever I am presenting here is being written in this book. When you place the 12 in 2 lines, each line has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The factors of 12 are 2 and 6. Shall we look at what happens when they are placed in 3 lines? Possible, right? We get a rectangular shape. Each line contains 4 counters 1, 2, 3, 4. Therefore, 3 and 4 are also the factors of 12. What happens when we arrange in 4 lines? Here also, we get a rectangle. Each line contains 3 square counters. That means the factors of 12 here are 4 and 3. We got it. Here it is 3 and 4. Both these are the same. We have noticed this in the law of multiplication, right? Let us see. What will happen if we arrange it in 5 lines? Is it possible? No, right? 5 in one line is not correct. It is not possible to place the 12 in 5 lines. Therefore, 5 cannot be a factor of 12. The factor of 12 is not 5 is clearly understood here. So, what happens when we arrange in 6 lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each line contains 2 counters. Therefore, both 6 and 2 are the factors of 12. Let us check this. We have seen this earlier also, right? We already know that 2 and 6 are the factors of 12, correct? Let us try continuing this. Is it possible when placed in 7 lines? No. How about placing in 8 lines? Not possible. Shall we try with 9 lines? No. How about placing in 10 lines? Definitely not. What about 11 lines? Even that is not correct. None of these are possible. That means, except 6, which we have written here, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, none of these are factors of 12. What about 12? Yes. When we arrange in 12 lines, each line contains one square counter. Therefore, 12 and 1 become the factors of 12. When these activities are given repeatedly to children as they write, children analyze that half of it, that is 2 multiplied by 6, is equal to 6 multiplied by 2, right? So, is repetition correct? When it comes to the half of 12, and when we arrange in 2 lines, we have reached half of the level. You have to give the children an opportunity to subtly understand that any number beyond this cannot become a factor of 12, as they might forget it when we teach them. When the children learn this practically on their own, they will keep it in their memory for a long time. Now, let us make a list of the factors of 12 in this notebook. What did we have? Let us look at these horizontally. 7, 8, 9, and 10. None of these are the factors, is what we have understood, isn't it? Therefore, let's write down the other ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to 4 are the factors of 12. 3, 4 are also included. Is 5 included? No, because we neither got a square nor a rectangle with 5. So let's not write 5. Let us write 6. Should 7 be written? No. 8? No. 9, 10? No. Not even 11. 12. The next number is 12. All these hold good for 12. They are all factors of 12 is what we call them, right? Now, this can be done using these counters as well. Let us learn how to do it using this number line. Let us take the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We had mentioned earlier that factors and multiples are the extended form of multiplication and division. Extension, right? Let us understand this. What are the methods in which the number 12 can be divided? The number 12 has to be divided equally, right? Now, if we divide 12 into 12 individual portions, is it possible? When you place the 12 as individual pieces, it is possible. Each division will have one bead. Therefore, 1 is a factor of 12 is the answer. Now, shall we place 2 beads in each division? We have split 12 in a way that we get 2 beads in each division. So here are 2 beads, 2 here, 2 more here, 2 here, then here and here. It is done. Nothing is left. It is divided correctly. I'll place a clip here also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have divided the 12 beads into 6 groups, placing 2 beads in each group. Therefore, the numbers 2 and 6 of the 6 divisions are the factors of 12. We can conclude them as the factors of 12. Now, let us move on to the next number, that is splitting in 3. We have to make sure that every division contains the same number of objects, meaning it has to be divided equally. So now 1, 2, 3, and these 3. 1, 2, 3, and these 3. Did we get it? Is anything left? No. So, how many portions is 12 divided into? It is divided into 4 portions. That means 3 and 4. Both these are the factors of 12. Now, let us place 4 beads and see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? All the portions contain 4. Equal number of beads. How many divisions do we have? We have 3 portions. Therefore, 12 also has the factors 4 and 3. Can you think and tell me what will happen if we place 5 beads? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next portion does not contain 5 beads. We have only 2 beads, correct? That is why I am unable to divide the 12 in equal proportion in this one. Therefore, it is not possible for the number 5 to be a factor of 12. This aspect has to be taught with clarity. And what have we done in division? We have called this the remainder, right? When we divide any number or when a number is divided equally, if something gets left, that is, if we are left with a remainder, then that number cannot become a factor of 12. We cannot call it a factor. In higher classes, when we venture into prime numbers, divisible and indivisible numbers, we teach these in higher classes. This is a foundation for that. If this topic is taught clearly, it will be very helpful and useful for them. Now, shall we look at 6? 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are we left with any remainder here? Is anything left while dividing? No, it is divided equally. Therefore, 6 and 2 are the factors of 12. How about 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are put here. We have 7 and 5 here. That means these could not be divided equally and we are left with a remainder. So 12 could not be divided. Therefore, the number 7 cannot be called a factor of 12. Observing further, we know 8 also doesn't work. In the abstract, using just the numbers, I will ask the children to divide 12 and 7. They might not be able to answer if a remainder is present or not. But look at this one. As soon as this kind of splitting is done, they can make out that a remainder will be left. They understand well. Now look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is 9 a factor of 12? No, because only 3 are left here. Similarly, 10 is not possible. 11? That does not work too. How about 12? It is one single portion, right? 12 divided by 1 is 12, is what we have learnt in the division lesson also, right? The same is seen here. There is one single portion, the division is done. Therefore, 12 is also a factor of 12. Every number always has the same number and 1 as its factors. Now, let us make use of another TLM. We have 12 yellow cubes We are using the same example number for this one also. We have taken 12 yellow cubes here. Earlier, we have learnt to make groups in the division and multiplication lessons, right? Let us do the same thing here. Let us split these 12 into groups of 2. Split them as groups of 1 to begin with. How many groups are here? Containing 1 each. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 groups are here. Therefore, since this is divided equally, both 1 and 12 are the factors of 12. For us, with a glance, it is easy to make out that there are 12 of these while placing them. However, we have to give ample time to children for them to count these. It is only then that they will be happily convinced about the answer. Now let us split these into groups of 2. One group here, one here, another here. Are any of these left out in the group? All these are placed in a group, right? These are equally divided, right? How many groups are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What did we learn in division? When 12 is divided as groups of 2, we get 6 groups totally, which is what we had learnt. Going further, we say the same thing. We say that 2 and 6 are the factors of 12. Shall we split these into groups of 3? It is possible, right? We have nothing left. So, can you tell me how many groups of 3 are here? There are 4 groups. Therefore, 3 and 4 are factors of 12. What happens when we split it in groups of 4? Is it correct? 4, 4 and 4. We have 3 groups of 4. We have already seen that both 3 and 4 are factors of 12. Will it work with groups of 5? The groups are done, but are they split equally? These two groups are equal, but this is not. If we had 3 more in this group, it would have been equal. For this reason, this cannot become a factor of the number 12. The number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is not a factor of 12. How about 6? It is possible, right? 6 and 2. We have 2 groups of 6, therefore 6 and 2 are factors of 12. 7, as we have less here. There are 7 here and 5 here. 7 cannot be a factor of 12. What about 8? 8 also cannot be a factor of 12. If children get confused and question about the same, give them time to count these one by one and understand clearly. Now, is it possible with 9? 10? Not possible. 11? Not possible. It is possible with 12 because it becomes a group. One group of 12. Like we discussed earlier, to any given number, the same number and 1, both are the factors.